This is the American Arson podcast, where our goal is to spark creativity. Whether you're a musician, an artist, a writer, or an entrepreneur, we're here to provide you with tools, tips, and insight from professionals and creatives that you can use to inform and inspire your own journey. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the American Arson podcast, and we have got a really fun one today with Jeremy from Earth Groans.
Yeah, Jeremy comes on and talks about his musical journey, dating all the way back to some early bands he had with his cousins, with some interesting band names that you get to hear about, and what it was like growing up on a farm in South Dakota, all the way to now with Earth Groans and their journey with Solid State and some of the stuff they have planned for this year. And of course, you get to hear some pretty crazy tour stories that may not involve both cops and donuts in New York.
But not in the way that you think of cops and donuts.
No,
yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, and if you guys are enjoying it, as always, please subscribe to whether it's the channel, the YouTube channel, or whether it's the podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. And always feel free to drop us a line about who you would like to hear from. And even if it's somebody outside of the scope that of who we've talked to so far, we're all ears, and we want to be able to keep doing these things for you guys and stay connected as much as we can during these crazy times. So yeah, with all that said, here is Jeremy from Earth Groans. Jeremy, how are you doing? Thanks for being with us today.
Dude, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me aboard this amazing little technical ship.
Yes, aboard the ship. We're happy to have you on the ship. And
for those who don't know, Evan sounded like a chipmunk for about the first 20
Dude,
minutes.
It was like I thought I was playing an 8-bit video game on an Atari, dude. I couldn't.
He was like, "Hold on, let me sample this out real quick."
Dude.
I gotta save this.
I'll make a remix of this later.
Yeah, you got to find a way to keep things interesting on the ship. So flying through space for 47 million light years, and at least sometimes you just start talking like a chipmunk to lift everybody's spirits. But
dude, yeah.
But how's it going? It looks like you're. Are you in your studio now?
I am in my studio. Yes, all poetic audio here in South Dakota. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's pretty much the only thing I do other than tour in a band is work in my studio. So that is my life. But this year it's only been studio because of the no touring thing, which is cool. It just it gets to be a bit get a little stir crazy because I pretty much just live in this room. So
right. Now I read an article. So you basically have like a little apartment complex there with the studio and then a couple other like rooms or apartments, or like what's that setup like?
So like 11 years ago, after the housing market had crashed, I was right out of college, and I was just working. I had a little bedroom studio set up in my brother's house. I was recording in this tiny little purple room. I was recording like these deathcore bands in this purple room. Like it was like the most feminine purple color that you could think of. And it was like this 8x8 room. Is so small. It was just super ghetto. But that's how I had started doing productions and stuff. Anyways, I was just working a part-time job because I was fresh out of college, trying to figure out where to move, what to do, how to move on my life from college. And my boss at the time had told me about this apartment complex being on the market. And I was like, well, I don't really want to live here. I'm in this tiny town in South Dakota. I was like, I want to like move somewhere else. I do not want to live here. He's like, but he kind of kept pressuring me or reminding me like, dude, I really think like you should check it out because I really think it would be like enough space for everything that you're trying to do. And so finally he talked me into it, and so I came in. The guy showed me around, and I was like, you know what? Actually, this is pretty rad because it's a a five-plex, I think is what they call it. It's like 5 apartments all next to each other, one big building, one floor.
Okay.
And yeah, so anyways, he showed me around, and then he told me like the price, and it was like 20,000 is all that he wanted. Yeah, it's like 5,000 square feet of space.
Wow.
So yeah,
Oh
I was
gosh.
like, dang, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I started like thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, well, if I wanted to go to any city anywhere to buy a building, lease a building, I'm gonna pay 200,000 easily.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, you
I
might pay
pay
20,000 a month, depending on
Yeah.
where you go
Seriously.
for a studio
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, you know what, this would probably actually work. So we did a lot of praying about it, a lot of figuring, and that's what we did. We just we went for it, and then we bought this place and converted a section of it into my studio. I live in one of the apartments. I have a studio, or not a studio apartment, but I call it a troll hole. I have an apartment set up for the bands when they're here lodging, because most bands are coming from out of
troll hole.
state. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the troll hole. Yeah, and then I have an apartment that I rent out. So I have a tenant, and they've always paid my mortgage for me. So I pretty much got the building for free over the last like
Dang.
10 years.
But
So
that only that's only adding up to 4 rooms. Are you telling me there's one more? Is there a
Right.
rumpus room?
there's a rumpus room, a playpen.
Yeah.
No, there's a photo studio too.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I do a little bit of photography, and I actually, when I bought the place 10 years ago, I was married. So we'll just get that out there right away. I was married then, I'm not anymore. Long story, but so my wife was a photographer, and so she had a photo studio also. So it was kind of
Okay.
like the ultimate package set up
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's cool, and I still use the photo studio.
Still a cool
for
thing to have.
leisure. Yeah, it is. It's cool. It's a nice little extra art hobby thing that I can do, and it's my storage room for all of our merch. So
Oh, cool.
it's basically a warehouse of merch right now, and then it's a photo studio also. So, but it's a cool day. I mean, I go a little crazy because I'm in this tiny town of like 900 people, and kind of in the middle of nowhere.
I was gonna say, the last time we played one show in either of the Dakotas, we played in and it wasn't in one of the cities either. We played on a Native American reservation up in the south part of North Dakota.
Standing Rock. We played at Standing
Rock.
Sick.
And for an event for them, and then we drove down to Denver, I think it was next.
Yeah.
And I think we stopped at one point, laid out in the middle of the road, and literally just laid there for a solid 30-40 minutes, and not a single car.
Yeah, just laid there looking at the stars, because it was
Which was
just absolute
amazing
black
for us, because I grew up in
Yeah.
a big city. I've been born and raised in a big city my whole life, so like,
Yeah.
you don't get that out there. But I can also imagine on the flip side, especially in this quarantine world, it could, like you said, it could cause you. I think I'm going stir crazy in my basement. Like,
Yeah,
I can imagine that could get a little intense.
get a bit batty. Yeah. But yeah, that is one thing about South Dakota, is that the skylight, or I don't know what you call it.
The light pollution.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. There's no light pollution. So I'll crawl up on my roof, and I will just hang out and just stare at the stars, and it's pretty awesome. So if I ever did move to a city, that is one thing that I know that I would for sure miss.
Yeah. I say that joking, but it was like one of the coolest like moments.
Dude, yeah.
Where like I still think back to like that specific moment where we just like we were all in the van, and we were just kind of looking around. We were like, we haven't seen a single structure or moving thing for like 2 hours. Let's just pull over. And we just kind of pulled over and just literally laid on the asphalt and just laid there for half hour, and just kind of like just
Took it
staring
in.
at the sky. Yeah,
Yeah.
like just chatting and hanging out. Like, but it was
Yep.
it was surreal. And I
Mhm.
always tell people, like, if you're ever out west, like just like do that when you're in one of
Mhm.
those parts of the country where there's just nothing. Just pull over and just lay there for a minute. It's breathtaking in a whole different way.
Yeah. If you don't like people, it's a good place to be. But even if you're just trying to like get away, you know, if you need peace and quiet, like you literally just drive. I drive like 5 minutes out into the country and there's nothingness for. So I'm actually in the southeast corner of South Dakota. So we have a bunch of like rolling hills, and because there's a lot of river valleys that run through here. So it's actually a pretty, like, there's a lot of pretty things to see around here. But yeah, not much for social life, especially
which is
if you're
probably good right now, to be honest. This past
Yeah,
year,
I mean,
you're kind of screened from everything for the most part.
yeah, I've never been like more stoked to live in the middle of nowhere, because like I do not have to worry about the COVID situation so much around here. So that's cool.
Right.
One bonus.
I mean, it's a pretty rad setup too. We you know, the whole reason we started this podcast was to be able to speak with different people in different creative fields about their, you know, everything about their creative process. And I think, you know, that's like one of the things that a lot of creatives kind of come back to is like, what is your space like, you know? And like, as you can see from my little space here, I've kind of packed like all of the things that I enjoy into one little office. But I mean, you basically have like creative dude complex there. You've got the you've got the studio, and you've got the, you know, spot for the bands, and the photo studio, and if anybody wants to steal any Earth Groans merch, now they know where the treasure trove is at this point. So
yeah, and I never lock my doors, so
it's cool. You want to drive out to South Dakota, you can
look at the stars, steal some merch, dude. We got it all here, man.
But do you feel like that, like the environment like plays into like who you are as a creator, or like kind of sets the stage for what you like to do? Or is it just something that you're like, I lucked into this, and this is kind of where I am right now, and it's cool, but I'd be doing what I'm doing no matter where I was?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. So the one thing about me is I have a really hard time working if there are people around, because I'm a very, very social person. So if there are people here to hang out with, like, I'm gonna like hang out nonstop. Or if I'm gonna like in an area and somebody hits me up, they're like, hey, let's hang out, I will drop whatever I'm working on to hang out. So I would probably not get anything done if I lived in a big city, because I'm just like, I want to hang out with everybody.
Right.
So I think that, yeah, so it's kind of nice to be here, because I have to work alone in a sense. Yeah, I would definitely be less productive if I lived in a big city. But that's why, you know, touring, having the studio here and then also touring is the perfect combo for me, because like I can tour for 5-6 months, and that's my extrovert side of me, and then I can come home and I can work in my studio and just be myself. But it's a good trade-off, you know, like when you get sick of touring, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can go back to my home and not that I don't think I've ever gotten sick of touring, but in the case that I would want to be alone or whatever, you know. But I feel like my creative side is better when I'm just by myself. I guess there's plenty of time to meditate and you know, just really like sink into yourself. And you know, I can go out into nature anywhere around here, and there's not anybody around, so I can really like find a lot of inspiration from that.
That's awesome.
Know? So I'd say yes and no, but you know, I definitely, like I said, I go a little crazy being here. So this year's definitely been hard.
You may have mentioned it. Were you from there originally? Like that general part of South Dakota-ish?
Yep. Yeah. So around this area, yeah, okay. I did grow up. I was born and raised around this area. And so like I grew up on a farm like 20 minutes from here. Cool. And I don't say nice. It's not cool. I hated the farm.
Not cool.
That's not cool.
those of us who didn't grow up on a farm are thinking like, oh, cool. That's you grew up on a farm. That just means that you got to go into the barn and jump into hay bales. Like that's the first thing I'm thinking of a kid on a farm is like
go ride a horse and jump into the hay bales after.
It must mean you just lasso steer and you know, look at the stars through cracks in the barn ceiling or something like that. But I'm sure that's not what it's really like.
No, you can see the wheels in his brain going, you
guys are such idiots.
Yeah, you're talking to a couple suburbanites here.
Yeah, it was fine. Like I learned a good work ethic through growing up on a farm, because we were a dairy farm too. So it was like up super early, work until it's like very late, and then go to bed and do it all over again. So I worked I learned a good work ethic from it. And I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and we were all, so my whole family are all pretty much like farmers except for me. So I'm like the one dude in my family that has tattoos that's trying to
they're still in it,
creative.
and you're like, I'm just chilling, I'm staying in my studio.
So how does a dairy farm boy end up in a hardcore band?
I don't know, man.
How does that work?
Was it a trend with like metal bands? You have August Burns Red from
that
the
is
middle
true.
of nowhere in Pennsylvania.
I mean, there's nothing else to do. It's like you can't go skate or do anything like that unless you want to like ramp off some piles of cow crap or something. But you know, I mean, honestly, it's like there wasn't anything else to do. So me and my brother used to play together. My brother was a guitarist, and so we used to like cover like Green Day and Metallica. Yeah. And we started a band. This is gonna make it like, this is just gonna really set the vibe here of what I grew up in. We started a band with my cousins. So there's 2 cousins of me and my brother, like inbred nation over here. We started a band. We were called the Muted Rebels. It was terrible. Yeah, because we didn't sing. We were in high school and we didn't sing because none of us could sing.
Are the Muted Rebels still online anywhere?
No, I don't think we ever made it to. We never made it.
No MySpace or anything.
No, I don't think we ever even recorded, which is a good thing. So nobody needs to hear that.
So nobody wanted to sing. So you were just a post rock band, or
yeah. So nobody could sing was actually the thing. Okay. And then finally we're like, okay, we have to sing because nobody liked us, because we were like 14, 15. We sucked. We were terrible, and none of us could sing. So nobody wanted to listen to us. So finally I was like, well, I'm gonna learn how to sing. So I tried, and it was really bad. And through that I learned how to scream.
Okay.
Dude, actually I bet I was like 12 or 13 at that point, because I started screaming when I was like 11 or 12. So
wow.
Because I heard of a band called Zayo.
The legends.
Yeah. So that started it all for me. But then eventually, I was the drummer and I was the singer. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
You're like, cool, dude. Yeah, really cool. I bet you guys were so good.
No,
so Bridge,
I'm just kind of bummed that there's no recordings out there to commemorate this.
There are none.
So bridge the gap between that band and Earth Groans for us. How did that happen?
So it went from just like embarrassing story after embarrassing story.
We all have one, man.
We all started somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, so it went from Muted Rebels to you ready for this? Brace yourself for this one. A band called Soul Fight. And we spelled fight wrong, F-I-T-E, because we were so badass, you know?
Oh man.
And so once I started singing,
hey, it's better than Y, like F-Y-T-E or something like that. Like at least you didn't or a P-H or something.
There was also a band called Soul Flight, I believe, sometime in there too. So people are like, "What, Soul Flight?" And I'm like, nope, Soul Fight spelled wrong. So
I think there's an element really called soul fight too. There is. So I mean, maybe you confuse people that way as well.
Oh, we confuse people all sorts of ways. They're like, "What, the drummer's singing?" Like, what, they spelled they don't know how to spell fight. I don't know what's like what they're fighting. They're fighting souls. I don't get it. So there was all all kinds of things to confuse people. But anyways, yeah. So we did that for a few years, and then I went to college and met some real musicians.
Okay.
That weren't my cousins or my brother.
That was my next question, was how in the town of a few hundred people did you manage to find the other 3 or 4 guys that happened to be talented, musicians that wanted to play in a metal band?
Yeah. So anyway, I went to college, and then I found some other dudes, and then we started a different band. And let's see, what was that band called? It's Also Bad. Hold on. Why can't I can't even think of it. It's Hour of My Death. That's what it was.
Hour of My Death.
Hour of My Death.
The names are progressing though.
Now, did you spell all the words correctly
that
there?
Was,
like it wasn't OUR,
we were in
Hour
college.
of My Death.
College.
Oh, okay, yes.
So we were educated.
It's not cool. It's not cool to spell things wrong anymore at that point.
Yeah. No, we didn't have an excuse to spell things wrong. I actually hated that name. I wanted something totally different, but I got outvoted on that one. We're like, well, we're a metalcore band. We got to sound metal.
Right.
That's what that ended up being. But I was just the vocalist of that band, not the drummer and singer. So we were getting a little better. We weren't bad. That was a very short-lived band. Because we hated our we hated our drummer. So instead of kicking him out, we were
don't we all,
man?
Yeah,
drummers, I tell you, they're
just worst breed of humans, I swear. Instead of just kicking him out and finding a new drummer, we're like, we're gonna break up. So me, the guitarist, and the bassist conspired, and we kicked him out, and then we got a different drummer and started a new band.
A new band with a different name.
Different name, yep. Same music, different name. And that band was called Give to the Winds. And that band was actually pretty decent. And you can find that. I say it's pretty decent. If I listen to it now, I gag. But that was the best thing I had done up to the current band I'm in. But and that one actually is on Spotify, so you can go check that one out. We were called Give to the Winds.
Give to the Winds.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, looking that up.
Yeah. And we were that was like early 2000s, so we were like Veil and Maya, Devil Wears Prada kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was
cool.
That was fun.
So if you like that stuff and you're interested in giving Jeremy 4/10 of a penny, go check it out on Spotify.
Yeah. I did get randomly, I got a check in the mail from our Spotify, and I was like, what is this? I was like, whoa, is Earth Groans finally making royalties? And I opened it, I was like, what? Give to the Winds, what the heck?
It's not even in the much bigger band that you're in now. It's from your post-college project.
Yep.
Fun stuff.
So anyways, so after that, it was funny how that one ended. The drummer that we had for that band, he was like, you know what, I don't like metal anymore. I'm gonna go join a hipster band. And so he quit. And then our guitarist is like, I'm gonna go back to school. And then our bassist was like, dude, I'm having twins. So
all right.
That band just, and I was like, but I want to play metal, guys.
Right.
So I was like the last one standing, and but that was after college that band had broke up, and then I went full time. This is after I had my studio built, so I went full time doing my studio after that. So it was still good timing. It all worked out. I believe God had a hand in all that. So it was time for that thing to be over, and then so I went full time in my studio from that. And then after doing studio full time for I think 3 years, then I started Earth Groans. And Earth Groans was just going to be a solo project that I was going to do, kind of just keep myself sane while I was, in my studio. But I kind of felt like there was a calling to actually pursue it and do it for real. And so I did a lot of praying about it, and it all kind of fell into place. It seemed like God brought members, into the scene and stuff. And so everything honestly fell into place really well. So it was cool. And so I just went from doing this thing as for fun in my studio, just being a solo project, to actually well, I'm gonna do this band, I'm gonna do it for real. So we're a full out touring band from day one.
Awesome.
Of So I don't really know what I was even saying there.
Well, how did you guys get linked up with Solid State?
I was just gonna ask, was that kind of something you guys had on your mind? Obviously, I guess you kind of at that point decided you wanted it to be a serious, thing. You're gonna do this for real. But did you always kind of have your eye on maybe not Solid State specifically, or maybe so, but that was that kind of always the goal of let's work towards that deal. Let's was there someone you had in mind, or was it just kind of a let's play some shows and see where it goes kind of a thing?
Yeah, so we started off with the intention of, hey, we want to be a full-time touring band and hopefully land a record deal with somebody at some point. And so we started touring pretty much full-time. Our first show was part of our first tour. And so we had 5 songs, our first EP, and we just started touring on that really, really hard. And we were trying to get Face Down, because we thought, it's a small label, that would probably be our closest chance at landing a record deal. So I had sent some stuff to them. I'm also friends with a few, Jim Hughes was one of
cool.
my closest friends from the area.
He's
growing up with him.
We just interviewed him a few weeks back. So.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So I know that he had talked to them for us, and then after we toured it was before we toured with War of Ages, but Jack also talked to them for us and stuff. And Jason just wasn't down. So okay, well, that's fine, no problem. So we just kept doing our thing, and we were getting ready to start writing for our next record. And I kind of on a whim, I sent a package to Solid State, kind of just to plant a bug for the future. Actually, sorry, what I should have said is Jason, he wasn't not interested. He just said, stay in touch, let me know when you have new material. Okay. So he's basically just saying I see you guys are doing your thing, that's cool, but I'm not ready, I'm not interested yet. We'll see where things go in the future.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
Yeah, so and then I sent a package to Solid State on a whim, kind of not actually thinking we'd get signed, but maybe we'll just see if we can plant a bug so they can watch us for the future. Maybe something will happen years down the line after we have more music out. But it was super wild. The day that they got the package in, Adam emailed me and was like, hey, we've actually been watching you guys for a while, just because we'd been touring pretty much nonstop.
Right.
And and I think Garrett from Silent Planet gave us a shout out on Twitter at some point too. And I don't know if that planted the bug or if he had just seen us because we had been touring so hard or what. But anyways, they had already been watching us, I guess. Wow. So yeah, so that's awesome. How that got the ball rolling with Salt State. And then sometime, it was a couple weeks after we were negotiating a record deal. So
that's awesome.
That's honestly how that happened. It was and again, I believe that God had a big hand in making the stars align for that, because we were a young band. We were working hard, but we were still a really young band. And we just only had one EP out. And so we got signed off our first EP, which is very, very cool. And
very rare
not to
as
be,
well.
Yeah, very rare. Not to me be yeah, we were so freaking good that we got signed off for our first EP, because our first EP isn't that good. It was just we were working hard, and it was just really cool that that worked out.
Well, you beat us by 5 whole grateful. EPs. We got signed off our 5th EP. So. Which you guys, this is actually a fact, and I looked this up on the internet. Between you and us, we have more EPs combined than the entire history of EPs that have ever been recorded in all of music in any genre. more EPs ever. It's a fact. Don't
That
look
is
it
a
up.
fact.
I've already looked it up, so nobody else
It's
needs to
on the
look it up.
internet, so it is a fact.
But I wanted to
Somebody
ask
go
you
add it
about
to our
the
Wikipedia pages.
if we even have one. I don't think we have one. Maybe
Oh,
maybe we have to
no.
put out another EP
I'm gonna
for
go.
that.
I'm gonna make one for you guys after
Yes,
this. I'm
please
just gonna
do.
fill it with so much like error and stuff. I'm gonna say that I was the original vocalist, the original drummer and vocalist of American Arson.
Yeah.
Formerly Soul Fight.
Oh man. So here's the question that I've been trying to ask for like the last 10 minutes now is so we did a bunch of EPs to start, and that was strictly like just a budgetary thing. We didn't have a label involved, and that was all we could afford to do. And like people gave us a hard time for a while. They're like, oh cool, another EP. Like, are you ever
gonna put out a real album?
Right. But you guys have made it kind of like your thing. So how did you get Solid State to agree to let you just kind of be an EP band, and then B, what's kind of your rationale behind wanting to release, just EPs?
Yeah. So that, like, when we started, like 5-6 years ago, whatever, that was always like my thing. I was like, I want to be an EP band. I want to like just release short bangers, we can really release every single year. And that was part of my pitch to Solid State when we had like our very first phone call. Like,
okay,
Adam was like, what do you guys want to do? What's your tell me some of your goals and your whatever business plan, I guess. And I was really scared to bring that up because I thought that he would shoot that down and it would be like, wow, this band doesn't know what they're doing. But I explained the reason and everything, and he was like, dude, I love it. I think that's an awesome idea. I think we should go for it. And I was like, oh, dude. So I got really stoked. And yeah, so that's just like the way we wanted to start doing things. And it's so funny because so many people on the internet are like, when you guys gonna put out a real album? And when you guys like, I like the EPs, but give us an LP already. But I don't care. People can think that. But now it's like, as time has progressed and like Spotify's like obviously ruling the world and everything, it just it almost just makes sense because you can trip the Spotify logarithms, because every time you get a blast of traction on your page, it boosts your logarithms and you're more relevant to other people and stuff. So just being able to release more often has just has tricked people into listening to us
because you're popping up in their release radar and all that.
You get
all
more
that stuff.
chances at playlists. We recently had a conversation with Jason where he said the same thing of like, maybe this is the time, like, bands that are releasing full-length albums, like he was mentioning like we're starting to do more and more singles, like instead of just doing one single or at the most 2 singles, now we're doing 4 or 5. Some bands are even doing 6 or so singles before they from a full-length album. And like you said, it's just like that constant stream of content. Maybe you get playlisted, maybe you're hitting people's release radars, and Apple Music is similar where they do the same thing with singles. So like it is interesting how that's changed, and that makes sense. It's cool to see that a label like Solid State would be down for kind of switching it up like that too, being how established they are in the scene and everything too, trying something different.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it seems like the industry, it's not necessarily just about being an active band, but it's about being relevant. And that is the thing, is you have to make sure you're always staying relevant, because our scene is obviously, it's changed in the last 10 years. Nobody can deny that. Everything has gone from CDs and hard copies to digital streaming and all that stuff. So it's just figuring out how to make sure you're always staying relevant. You're always staying in front of people's face, constantly popping up. And that's just about branding too, like the, name repetition and getting your logo in front of people more and more. Cause that, like, the more times, there's some statistic about the more times somebody sees your logo, the more I don't know, there's more of a chance of them taking interest and investing into your brand.
Yeah.
So just having that always be popping up every year, every 6 months, whatever it is, like one way or another, always be in front of people. And I think that's the hardest thing is we play a very like metalcore is a pretty saturated market. So how do you stick out amongst everybody else? Well, always being in front of people's faces. It's just one way to fake people into thinking that you're a good band.
Well, the funny thing is that your approach has kind of left you with a very interesting distinction, and I'm not aware of any other band that has this particular distinction right now. There might be one out there, but I'm not sure what it is. So, and that is a band who released an album or an EP or whatever, because you guys had the one that came out right at the beginning of the pandemic, and then released another one without ever getting to tour on the first one or even play a single one of those things. Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You've probably never had a chance to even play a single one of the songs from the first one. And then you guys put out another one in October. It's funny because we were talking about that, but
it's
thinking
so
about
weird
this stretching over like a couple of years. Like, what if sometime down the road it becomes time for us to put out another release and this stuff still isn't over and we haven't got it?
Yeah.
And you guys just dove headlong into that. Was that the plan, like before the pandemic came along, that you were going to release these things on opposite ends of the year, or was that kind of something that the whole COVID thing accelerated?
It was some of each, honestly.
Okay.
So originally, Prettiest of Things, our first EP of this year, we were going to release last year, but Solid State doesn't like to release anything from like in November, December, just because of holidays.
Right.
And
okay.
so we were going to release a single, or I wanted to drop the single in November, but Solid State's like, well, if you drop a single in November, it means you're gonna have to release the EP in December. You're not gonna get as much traction. You know, there's just too much risk of running into holidays and everything.
Okay.
So we're like, well, okay, fine. We'll push the release off until the beginning of 2020, and then we'll just do, since we're doing like the EPs coincide to make kind of like one story or whatever. Let's release both EPs in 1 year. And so that's kind of just how that played out. And we're like, yeah, we all got stoked about that idea. So we thought that way would be the best way and the most fluent way, and to tell the story, I think, the best. And so we released that first EP, and we had plans for tours and stuff like that. But then like a week after we dropped that first EP, Prettiest of Things, the world shut down. And we're like, shoot, this sucks.
Yeah.
And then so we're like, well, this whole thing is going to be over by June or July. So let's plan for our next release. Joke's on you. Yeah. So
yeah, June or July of 2024 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But so then we're like, well, let's plan our next release for, October or whatever. That way everything will be over and done with. And, but obviously that didn't happen. So at this point it's like, well, just keep doing the thing and we'll see how things go. But super wacky. But yeah, we've now released 2 EPs and have played 0 shows. So
that's crazy, man.
Pretty wild. Yep. And we have another one mostly written that we're going to release in 2021, and hopefully we're hoping that we can release that when touring starts up again, I guess, is the plan. And if not, if touring doesn't happen, well, I guess we're gonna release another EP on
3 albums and
0 shows.
Is this the longest you've gone then in a minute since that kind of you started into the whole touring thing without traveling or playing a show or anything?
Yeah, I mean, besides that, there was like a 2.5, 3 year gap between Give to the Winds and starting this band. This is the longest that we've gone without playing a show or touring and stuff. And actually in my life, not in my life, but since I started touring this is odd, but when our first band, Soulflight, we toured
Yeah.
I was still in high school, but we still toured during the summer, and this was back when the scene was like banging. So we played huge shows, and it was weird because we were terrible. And people, but somehow, like, you know, people bought our merch, and like it was like, you know, this is before Spotify, and so this is like people came out to shows, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, this is definitely the longest gap, you know, since Earth Groans has started that we've gone without a show.
It's definitely something that we all miss very much, and you know, we've talked about this before, but that's one of the reasons why we've been on this podcast. Anytime that we connect with somebody who's involved in any way, shape, or form in the music industry, we've been kind of trying to wring out of them some sort of story from the road, crazy, funny, tragic, self-deprecating, whatever it happens to be, to kind of remind us of those days that we miss very much, and B, get us all fired up and amped up to maybe see, who knows, maybe to see a real revival of you know, live music attendance once this whole thing is over. So
that's the hope, isn't it? Like this whole thing, like, you know, I, like, for lack of a better word, like starves people of their you know, their real like desire for that, for a show, for live entertainment, for music. And then, you know, maybe, you know, as much as I think we would all take this whole past year back if we could, and make it not happen, you know, maybe the blessing in it all is that, you know, once it does come back, like you said, the scene is back to how it was, where people they just want to be at a show. It doesn't matter who's playing, where they're playing, if they're playing in a barn in the middle of South Dakota on a farm, or if they're if your family's down to host shows, or if
stage diving into the hay bales,
or if it's at a big theater, you know, like maybe it brings some of that local scene kind of camaraderie back across you know, different markets, which would be great. But
it would be awesome. But until that point, all we can do is live on the stories. So do you I got to imagine you got to have a good one for us from some point during your touring days. Doesn't have to be an Earth Groans story either, but I'm
trying to think of which story. I have a lot of stories, I feel like.
More is fine. You don't have to limit yourself to just one. You can go for a couple or
Well, I'm going to start off with a funny one, because this is probably one of this is just one of the stories that I'll probably remember forever. So we we were on tour with a band called Convictions, a super good band, good friends of ours.
If I could reach my Convictions jacket, it's hanging right there.
Oh, right on. Oddly enough, I had a dream about them last night, which is very strange.
I was trying to get Mike to come on and do the podcast with us soon. I'm gonna have to message him now and tell him, hey, Jeremy had a dream about you.
I did, though. It was
to come on the podcast.
Yeah, and in the dream, the voice of the Lord told him, you must appear on the American Arson podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're on tour, and I can't remember what city we're like in. I want to say like Manhattan or something like that. But so we had plans after we played the show. We're gonna meet at a Taco Bell and hang out in the parking lot, eat Taco Bell, and whatever, do what band dudes do. And so I was very broke. I mean, I've always been broke. I do music full time, so I've always been broke since I've been born. I've been broke. I came out broke, but so I dumpster dive a lot for food. And even here in town, there's a grocery store like 3 blocks from here. I go dumpster diving there all the time. And so we're rolling up to this Taco Bell, and I saw a Dunkin' Donuts like a couple blocks from this Taco Bell that we were going to. And so we pull up into the drive-through, and I tell the guys, I'm like, I'll be right back. And they knew that where I was going. So I go and I walk to this Dunkin' Donuts, and it was pretty dark. It was actually kind of a decently sketchy area. And it was a little bit chilly. So I'm wearing all black because I'm a metal dude, and that's cool. And I have my hood up, and I run across the street to this Dunkin' Donuts, and I go back, and they have these, they usually have like cement walls to hide their dumpsters and everything.
Right.
And so I go back and I go around the corner and I open up the dumpster, because usually they throw out like the day olds or whatever. And I open it and I don't see any free floating, but I see one bag and I can kind of see through the plastic. I can see that its full bag is completely full of donuts, a full garbage bag full of donuts.
Oh,
and I was going to rip it open and just grab out a couple, but I was like, oh, no way, dude, I'm going to grab this whole bag. I'm taking this whole bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and donuts are comparatively safe. I mean, it's not like meat where it's like, oh, this has been out there. Like it could have E. coli.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about donuts. Like the sugar is probably, insulating all
the bacteria. The bacteria that you pick up from the dumpster, it has more nutritional value than the donuts itself.
There you go. Yeah, it's that good gut bacteria. People take
exactly.
probiotics for that stuff, man.
I grab this full bag and I sling it over my shoulder like I'm freaking Santa Claus. And I come around, and I'm walking. I'm so stoked. I walk around the corner of the dumpster walls, and all of a sudden there are 2 flashlights, very bright, like in my face. And they're like, what are you doing? And I was like so freaked out. And I was like, oh, frick, it's the cops. Like the cops followed me to this. And I was like scared because I know that it's illegal in some states to dumpster dive.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like freaked out. And I'm just like, I'm just a poor band dude on tour, just trying to get some food. And they're like, you're dumpster diving for donuts? Like, and so they take, I had to give them my card or my identity or whatever. So they're running to make sure I got no priors. And I'm standing there, we're hanging out. It turns out one of the dudes on their force is in a metalcore band, so it's cool. We got to chat about that and stuff. But and so I had to tell them the story. Yeah, we're a band from South Dakota. We played here in Manhattan tonight. The band dudes are up on the street at Taco Bell, and anyways, it was cool. They were cool guys and everything. But so they ran my information and I was clean. So okay, you can go. And
little did they know you'd never been caught dumpster diving before. So
yeah,
you didn't have any dumpster diving priors.
Yeah. No,
I can only imagine what a cop's reaction especially in like Manhattan or something is like they're rolling up on this dude coming out from this sketchy back alley
wearing all black
with a hood up or something, with
the big bag of
garbage.
Merchandise.
Yeah.
They probably thought I had a dead body.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I just hacked up some dude in the dumpster.
All they can see is this lumping black bag slung over your shoulder, and you're just kind of strolling along, and they're like, what's this guy up to? And you just have a bunch of donuts on you.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, how did you guys know I was even in here? Like, well, we're in the ghetto, and we watched a dude in a black hood run right in front of us to behind a closed restaurant. But anyway, so finally they're like, all right, you're free to go. And I was like, can I keep the donuts? And they're like, yeah, you can keep the donuts. And I was like, dude, you guys are awesome. I was like, do you guys want one? I know it's a stereotype and all. And they're like, they kind of halfway looked at me. They're like, not out of the dumpster. We would take one, but not if it's out of the dumpster.
Yeah, we make money. It's okay.
Yeah. So anyways,
that's great.
I got to keep my
that's amazing.
My bag full of donuts, and we ate those donuts for days after.
Yeah.
It was
awesome.
I mean,
donuts keep, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Plastic bag. So, you know.
They dry out a little bit. You throw them they're good.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Wow. That's brilliant.
So,
well, I don't know how you're going to top that one. You said you got a couple.
Yeah, I could go on for days about tour stories, but I think that's probably a good one to end on. So.
Yeah, we can go out on that. Oh man, that's brilliant.
Well, on that note, then let everybody know where they can find you, Earth Groans. If you guys have anything to look out for anytime soon in the near future,
and the studio as well. If somebody's looking to record some jams.
Sure. Yeah. So we're gonna be dropping actually in a couple weeks here. I don't know when this is coming out. But the beginning of February, we're going to be dropping a new single.
Sweet!
Which it's actually going to be a cover. So doing something a little cool. I'm not gonna
Ooh.
tell you what it is yet.
We can after we quit recording, you can
Yeah, you'll have to clue
Sure.
us in. We'll cue it
Yeah,
up
yep.
so that it comes out around the same time as that. So we
Okay,
won't
sounds
be
good,
we
sounds
won't be
good.
spoiling it for anybody.
Yeah, so check in early February. We'll be dropping a cover, and that will be, of course, everywhere, all streaming sites. We also have a website, earthgroans.com. You can go on there for lyrics, for merchandise, for music videos, all that jazz. We do have, we're always, especially since we're not playing shows, we're always releasing new pre-orders for merchandise. We have one out right now that will be over by this time, but that's a windbreaker, but we'll have more in the upcoming future. So check in on our big cartel for that.
Yeah,
And then,
their merch is sorry to interrupt, but their merch is top notch. So
dude,
definitely
thank you.
check
Yeah,
it out. If you haven't
appreciate it.
seen it before, check it out. But
Yeah. And then my recording studio is All Poetic Audio. You can go to just allpoeticaudio.com. So I don't know what else to say other than that.
well,
we'll put all the links down below so you guys that are watching it can go click on that link below the video, and if you're listening on Spotify or all those other platforms, head to the YouTube channel and find those quick links, or head to those addresses he just mentioned.
Appreciate it.
Jeremy, this has been a pleasure. I hope that this pandemic ends soon and we can see each other at a festival. But if not, we might have to schedule a time to get out there to South Dakota. Yeah. Maybe we can lay in the road and look at the stars.
Stargazing.
We can go dumpster diving for donuts.
The roof.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
A little safer. Well, less chance of getting run over, more chance of falling to your death.
Falling off. Yeah.
I guess it all evens out.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. This has been a really great time, and yeah, hopefully we will see you in person very soon.
Would love it. Thank you.
All right, man. We'll catch you soon.
All right, peace out.
Thank you for listening to the American Arson podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a positive comment or review. Connect with us online through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter, and check out AmericanArson.com for music, merch, and upcoming tour dates. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, stay inspired, stay positive, and keep creating.